We're now going to set up the workstation profile. In the back office, select the workstation profile setup. When you first come into workstation profile setup, there will be one workstation profile that has the same name as your computer name. To find out the computer name, go to the control panel, then open up the system settings. In the system settings, under the computer name, you will see the exact name. For every station that we add, we need a unique name for that point of sale station. The computer name for each point of sale station will match with the workstation profile for that station. To change the computer name, click on Change Settings, Change, type in a new name for the computer name. After that, you should be able to hit OK, and then when you restart, the new name will take into effect. Going back to the workstation profile, we can edit the current workstation profile, or we can add a new one and edit it. We're just going to edit this one. Select the profile if there's more than one. Hit edit, and we're in the workstation profile. We can edit the computer name. By default, if you only have one station, the computer name automatically uses your current computer name. If you're adding more stations, you'll need to add the computer name of the other stations. Every workstation profile must match the computer that you're adding. Station number. If this is only a single station setup, the station number should be 1. As we add more stations, we change the number. So the next station that we add would be station 2, then station 3, etc. Every point of sale station must have a unique station number. Receipt printer. Click on the drop-down box to select the receipt printer. If it is not installed in Windows, the receipt printer will not show up on this list. The recommended receipt printer is the Star TSP100 USB. Label printer, same thing. Click on the drop-down box and select the label printer. Again, if it is not installed in Windows, it will not show up on this list. Number of receipts, usually we set that to 1. Print number of credit card slips, we usually set that to 2. It will print 2 copies of the credit card slips that the customer can sign. Customer will usually sign 1 and give it back to the salon, which the salon keeps, and the customer will keep 1 copy. The print number of work orders, a lot of technicians likes to keep a stub, that way they can keep track of the services that they performed. You can print different number of copies of the work order. Print number of add-on lines. That affects the work order. This is the number of lines that it will print. The lines are extra lines that it prints out on the receipt or on the work order that the technician can use to jot down notes. Receipt width. This is for the receipt printer. If you're using a Star or an Epson compatible printer, you can set the receipt width to 285. Cash drawer. If this station has a cash drawer attached, select the cash drawer number. Usually we choose the same cash drawer number. We have up to 9 as the station number. Pole display port. If this station has a pole display attached, you can enter the COM port for the pole display here. After you enter the COM port, you can test to see if the connection is good by hitting the test button. Surveillance camera. If you're using a surveillance camera system, then you can capture point of sale data, enter the COM port for the surveillance camera here, and you can send test data and see if the camera will record the test data. Pin pad port. This is the COM port number for the pin pad device. Credit card device. We support different credit card device. Currently, we recommend using the Verifone 1000 SE. A credit card device is usually also the pin pad device. That's used for debit card transactions. Show employees on book. This is how many employees will show up on the appointment book at one time. So let's go to the appointment book and show you how that looks like. We're in the appointment book. We set the workstation profile to show only 5 employees on the appointment book. So you can see that each column is an employee. Now the reason why we limit the number of employees we show at one time on the appointment book is because as we add more employees, this column will shrink. That makes it harder to read the names of the employees, but also to see the details in each appointment. We can scroll over to get more employees, or we can scroll back. If you have a webcam attached to this station, you can select it. This can be used to take profile pictures of your employees and add it to their profile. You can change how you view the appointment book. By default, it views by the employee, but you can also view by the job title. Let's go to the appointment book. We're in the appointment book. If you look on the lower right corner, we can select an employee. I can select any employee and then view their appointments for the day. We're back in the workstation profile. This time we're going to change how we view the appointment book. We're going to choose job title, and let's go back to the appointment book. We're back in the appointment book. The main appointment book screen still looks the same. It still lists by employee. However, if we look on the lower right corner, it now allows us to choose how to view the appointment book by job title. So let's say we want to view only our nail technicians. We can select nail technician, and it will limit the appointment book just to those technicians who are nail techs. Let's go back to the workstation profile. We're back in the company profile. We can change how we view the in-service window and the waiting list. We can, by default, it shows by the ticket number. So let's go to the main screen. We're on the main screen, and in the in-service window, you can see that it is sorting by ticket number. So here's ticket number 113, 114, 115, and so on. We're going to switch it. We're going to sort by employee. So let's go back to the main screen after selecting the sort by employee. We're back on the main screen. If we look at the ticket number, they're no longer in order. We see ticket 115, 114, 113, 116, then 117. When we sort by employee, it sorts by the employee name in alphabetical order. So we can see the J, L, T, T again, and then T again. But you'll notice it's TA, TI, and TO. So again, we can sort the in-service window by the ticket number or by the employee name. Let's go back to the workstation profile. On the upper right, we have the caller ID settings. The Pay for Salon supports 2 different caller ID devices. Number 1, we can use a USB modem, or we can use a multi-line caller ID. The multi-line caller ID is a dedicated point-of-sale caller ID device that supports up to 4 caller ID lines. After selecting the device, we can set up a pop-up duration for the caller ID. The pop-up duration is how long the caller ID data, which means the caller ID name and number, will show up on the system. The modem port number, this is the COM port number of either the modem or the caller ID device. If you're using a modem, you may have to select a modem initialization string. Caller ID server. If this is the server where the caller ID device is attached, you need to check this. Show pop-up. This is to make sure that this station will show the caller ID pop-up. You can still use the caller ID data, but if you want it to show on the screen, this needs to be checked. iPad settings. We have some iPad settings for our iPad module that's coming out. This way the individual technicians can handle their own appointments from their own iPad. We'll talk more about the iPad settings when we show you how to set up the iPad. Let's go to the Miscellaneous tab. In the Miscellaneous tab, we have the credit card processing settings. Process credit cards. If you're processing credit cards directly in the point of sale system, this needs to be checked. Auto capture. This should remain checked. What this means is when you swipe a credit card, it does two things. Number one, check to see if there's enough money on the credit card to authorize these transactions. And then number two, it'll capture it and say that you want to take the money from the customer's credit card account. So what this does is automate the process of capturing the credit card data. Auto detect EDC. This should remain checked. Auto close after auto capture. If you want the credit card transaction to automatically close the ticket, you should check this. This should only be checked for salons that do not accept credit card tips. Use pin pad as poll display. Some signature pads can be used as a poll display. So when you ring up services, it'll show up on the signature pad. Pin pad attached. If you're using a pin pad device for debit card transactions, make sure this is checked. Payment type. This is where we can enable or disable different payment types. So you can enable the cash, credit, debit, gift card, check, and loyalty points. So if you disable one of those, they will not be usable on this station. The reason why we have this setting is because, for instance, if you have two stations and only one of the stations has a cash drawer, well, only that station should have cash enabled. The other station would have cash disabled because there's no cash drawer. Receipt type. We can print different types of receipts and work orders. Print work order. Again, these are little stubs that the technician can keep. Whenever they perform a service and that ticket is closed out, they'll get a work order. That shows all the services that the technician performed. Print wait ticket. This is the waiting list ticket. So if you use the waiting list function, you can print a ticket stub for the technician to keep. That way you can call out their name or number. Print technician name on receipt. When a technician performs the services, you can enable or disable their name to be printed on the receipt. Tip guide. You can enable or disable the tip guide to be printed on the receipt. Receipt after payment. There's three different options you can choose for receipt printing after a customer pays for the ticket. Don't print, which means do not print any receipts. Ask to print, which means it'll pop up a window and ask you if you want to print or do not print. Auto print. This means it will automatically print a receipt every time the customer pays for a ticket. Up on the right side, we have the miscellaneous settings. Most of these are to signify that a device is attached. First, we have the perform data reset. What this means is that this station is the one that sets when a new business day starts. But usually we recommend that the main computer is the one that sets the performs the data reset. The other stations should have this unchecked. Cash drawer attached. Now, just because we chose a cash drawer number doesn't mean that it will use the cash drawer. So if you go to the workstation setup and you chose a cash drawer, if the cash drawer attached flag is not checked, it will not use a cash drawer on this station. Opus MSR attached. Most MSR, which is the credit card swiper, are USB based. They do not require this flag to be checked. Only check this flag if you're using a Opus MSR. Receipt printer attached. Same thing as what we talked about with the cash drawer. Just because you selected a receipt printer profile, if you do not check that the receipt printer is attached, it will not print receipts. Same thing with the label printer, poll display, barcode scanner. Enable surveillance camera. When you enable the surveillance camera and you have the settings, chose the COM port, what it'll do is every time you ring up a service or a product, on a ticket or pay for a ticket, it will send that data to the camera system to record. Show waiting list on display. What this does is tell the pay for salon to show the waiting list on a secondary display. So if the customer has a second monitor and use that as a display, it can show the waiting list. Show service count on queue, show total sale on queue, and show last service on queue. Normally we have these checked. This is information that's shown on the employee's profile when it's on the salon queue. Let's show you what that looks like. We're on the main screen of the salon and we've got some employees. So we can see the service count. We can see the last service that the technician performed. And we can also see the service total, which is the total of all the services they performed during the business day. And we can turn any of these on or off. Let's go back to the workstation profile. We're back at the company profile. The last option in the miscellaneous tab is the backup DB on exit. What this means is every time you exit the point of sale system, it will ask you if you want to back up the database. So if this is checked, it will pop up that window asking if you want to back up the database. If this is not checked, it will not ask. This should only be checked on the main computer. Let's go to the customer display tab. In the customer display tab, we have 3 different display options. So if you have a secondary monitor that you use as a customer display, you can choose none, which will not show any pictures. You can choose a default picture to show. A lot of times salons will use a company logo. And you can play a slideshow. So if you choose the show picture option, you can choose a default picture. Simply click on the box, look for a picture, and open it. It will use that picture. You can play a slideshow. So if you choose the play slideshow options, it's going to play every picture that's in the slideshow above here. You can add pictures to the slideshow. Simply click Add Picture, select the picture you want to add, and open it. And you can see that it's added to the slideshow. We can remove the picture. So after we select the picture, we can remove it by clicking the Delete button. And the picture has been deleted. We can set the slideshow duration. This is how many seconds it will show each picture before it moves on to the next picture. And of course, if you are using a second monitor, make sure the dual monitor option is checked. That's it for the company workstation profile. When you're done, always remember to click OK to save.